the customer moves on, the market moves on, and if you don't evolve with it, you may find that your marketing's not working anymore. You're losing business to better positioned competition, longer sales cycles. Maybe you're feeling invisible in the marketplace. And the symptom then, or the underlying issue, is often that your brand is moved off target, or the market has moved on and you've stayed the same.
Here's the deal. Sales isn't about pushing harder, talking better, or flooding inboxes. That's noise, not strategy. Real business development, it's about presence, precision, and knowing exactly how the room feels before you open your mouth. Jake Stahl, author of Own the Room, How to Communicate to Be Seen, Heard, and Respected, has spent over 30 years training teams across 6 countries and 47 states, teaching solopreneurs how to turn conversations into conversion. Known as the mind mechanic, people who have been trained by him say he has the uncanny ability to break down human behavior and rebuild it into real, repeatable influence. This is where communication becomes your unfair advantage. Welcome to Own the Room with Jake Stahl.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Own the Room. This is so exciting because I get to interview all the coolest people and the people who really make a difference for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. And today, I'm really excited because I have on a friend, a colleague, and currently the chief marketing officer for Orchestrate, which is the company that I have. And so I'd like to welcome to the floor Cory Hanscom. He owns Brand Articulate, and he is a marketer. And Cory, you've been doing this for a while. Would you spend 30 years with 3M?
Yes, I have. First off, thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I love talking about my favorite subject, brand.
Great. Good. It'll be a good show then.
Yeah, even to the point I call myself a brand-led CMO. I really feel that it's the lighthouse, it's the vision all wrapped up into something that is shareable. And actually, it's the only asset that is forever for a business if you have the discipline to grow it and keep it relevant. A little bit about my background. Yes, I spent over 30 years at 3M in marketing and brand management, focused on the 3M brand and identity. I worked with the different businesses in 3M to help position 3M in industrial, healthcare, safety, and tech markets, and also help them develop their product brands, brand portfolios, worked with brands such as Scotch Post-it, Thinsulate, a lot of ones that people have heard of before. And I also led brand M&A with over 85 acquisitions for the company, doing brand due diligence, orchestrating closing day, and then also long-term portfolio integration. And so through all of that, I really started to deeply understand how brand really guides businesses and what happens if you lose sight of what you're actually doing in the marketplace and who you're delivering value to. Over the years, I also worked with small businesses and startup for friends, family, and other people. And
I'm sure.
I always loved the more immediate impact that you could have with smaller organizations versus the glacial pace of a large global organization.
So, Cory, I know that you have done a lot of different marketing campaigns, and certainly the work you do with Orchestrate has been amazing. But you talk a lot about marketing being on target. I don't know a lot about marketing, but I always thought marketing just by nature was on target. So tell me what you mean by that.
I founded my new business now, Brand Articulate, under the premise that the best on-brand marketing won't work if your brand is off target. And so
let's talk about that a little bit. What do you mean by off target?
Yeah. Over the years working at 3M and working with business people, agencies who are coming up with a bold campaign, people were constantly bringing things across my desk and asking, is this on brand? And you can answer yes or no based on your brand strategy that you put together and such. But even if it might be on brand, it still might miss the mark because over time, brands drift or they lose focus with the customers. Remember that old book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, yeah. That was big in its time.
But it's still relevant. where the customer moves on, the market moves on. And if you don't evolve with it, you may find that your marketing's not working anymore. You're losing business to better positioned competition, longer sales cycles. Maybe you're feeling invisible in the marketplace. And the symptom then, or the underlying issue, is often that your brand is moved off target, or the market has moved on and you've stayed the same. So you have to retarget your brand to make sure that you are delivering a proposition to the marketplace that puts you in the lead for consideration. And we've all seen disastrous rebrands recently.
For sure.
And think about the phrase rebranding versus retargeting your brand. A
Yeah.
lot of times your brand's not broken, so you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you want to retarget. You want to keep the equities that you've built, the things that are still strong, but tweak things in a way that gets you back to the head of the pack in terms of delivering value and being able to make a connection based not on necessarily what your customers want to buy, but connecting with what are their ambitions? Why are they buying that product? And what are they ultimately trying to achieve, whether it's status, a change in themselves, or reaching a specific objective? So it's that difference between selling on like features versus really selling on that ambition level that true brand leaders are able to bring to the market in a way that really inspires their customers more than just creates a logical transactional conclusion.
So, Cory, this makes a lot of sense to me. But I think as a small business owner, how do I know? Do I check in every 6 months? Do I have to do market research? How do I know if my brand's not on target anymore?
Yep. I'm glad you asked that. I've just recently put together what I call a brand targeting self-assessment, and it'll be a download that is a PDF that's going to be on my updated website, which I'll be launching soon. Or if someone reaches out to me, I can send it to them. But it asks a series of questions that target, and it's built around what I call a brand targeting matrix. But it asks questions about how sure you are about the role that your brand plays, the way that it positions itself and such. And as you go through this assessment, you start to realize that there's gaps. And it gives you an idea maybe of where you're off target and gives you some ideas about what you can start to do about it. But it deals with really three main areas. One is what I call precision positioning. And
Okay.
it deals with something that a lot of people haven't thought about before, where you actually choose the position that you're going to have in the marketplace against your competition. Are you the highest performing brand? Is your brand built around convenience? Are you the low cost leader? Do you provide the most variety or options? Or is service really the tip of your spear? Are you the innovation leader, or is speed or efficiency, or is customization? So out of those 8 roles, you have to pick one and you have to own it. And the decision to pick one of those really gets to your vision as a founder. If you only want to deliver the highest performing versus being low cost leader, that's almost a personal decision for how you're going to build your business.
So, Cory, it sounds like some of those, though, overlap. For me personally, listening to those, it would be hard for me to choose just one. So is it just one, or can you choose a couple, or is the importance in choosing just one?
It's almost like going to college. You pick your major and you can pick a minor, and that's about it.
Fair
Okay?
enough. Good analogy. Got it.
Yeah. But you can't be all things to all people.
Right.
Otherwise, you're
Yes.
just going to be gray in the marketplace and you're going to be forgettable.
Yeah.
Then there's also the promise type that you're going to make. Is it functional? Is it experiential? Are you all about that experience? Are you purpose driven? Or is it just very emotional? Or is it like identity and status? So you think about a fashion brand, and what they promise is you're going to be high status if you buy our product. And in the way that it gets delivered, what's the role that the brand plays? Are they the authority? Are they a helpful guide or a coach? Is it just no frills? Or are they actually a challenger and or a sidekick or an active partner? And understanding how you're going to have that relationship with the customer really helps to clarify your marketing activation so that it's not one campaign you're a challenger, another one you're an authority, because brands are like people and customers develop a relationship with them. And if you're inconsistent, they never really understand who you are. And if they understand what to expect from you and actually seek you out then to get that consistent experience, you're going to develop a stronger bond.
It's interesting because I work with fractionals and entrepreneurs all the time in coaching them. And I would say that I think probably 99% of people don't soul search these questions. Have you found that to be the case, that people don't spend enough time thinking about the questions you're proposing before they take the leap into solidifying a brand or trying to get a logo in place?
Absolutely. And look, my whole philosophy around marketing is strategy before tactics, because everyone wants to dive into tactics. Oh,
No,
I
of
need a
course.
website, or I need a campaign and such. And
Yeah.
you're just throwing noodles against the wall in terms of trying to create success. A lot of people call it random acts of marketing. And so strategy helps you overcome that. And strategy really is brand. And once you start to look at these principles, start to put them in practice, they're very easy to understand. You just hadn't really thought about them before. Or maybe the marketing or creative resources that you have employed in the past haven't dug as deep with this, because it starts to get into business strategy more so than creative strategy. And so being able to bridge those two together in one framework, I think can really help solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small and medium-sized businesses to be able to develop a vision for their brand that they can be confident is on target, so that when they do marketing activation, they know that every dollar they spend is going to be fruitful in terms of what they want to accomplish, and you're not wasting money.
Yeah, and Cory, the thing that comes to mind is when I talk to people personally, a lot of people feel that price is the issue, and so they're quick to discount and things like that. And one of the things I heard you say was consider whether you want to be the low-cost leader. So I could see how you could pick, I want to be the most innovative, but then I could see how you could easily slide into saying, oh, I want to be the lowest cost too. So how important is it for somebody to pick a lane and then stay in it come hell or high water?
You have to build your entire business model around that choice.
Got it.
So if you are the low-cost leader, think of a Kmart, or are you the Kmart of your category?
Right.
You're
Haven't
not
heard that
gonna-
term in a while. Wow. Kmart.
I'm showing my age, I know.
Hey, here's a quick quiz question. Do you know what the K stands for in Kmart?
God, I should know. No.
It used to be called Kresge Mart, and they just
Oh my
shortened it to
goodness.
Kmart. Yeah, so that was a quick
Interesting.
aside. So go ahead with your point.
Yeah. But you can be successful as a business as that low-cost leader, okay? But your entire business model has to be built around that. It's not we'll try it for 6 months and then move away from it.
Right.
So your brand really has to reflect that business model.
I could see how that would be a little scary, especially for a solopreneur just trying to get off the ground. They don't have necessarily the dollars to invest in a marketing company, and they're trying to pick which direction to go. So is there any advice you would offer for trying to narrow down which of the choices you'd pick?
That's where I say it really gets down to your own ambition,
Got it.
okay?
Yep.
If you want to completely upset the market and come in as the highest performing, every waking hour, every ounce of effort has to be towards that mission. Yeah, it's got to follow your personal vision. And I think then you'll stick with it. Most small businesses don't have the luxury to be able to bounce around between business models or brand positioning. So they really have to commit. And the ones that commit early have that best chance of being able to build something strong.
So you said earlier that they take this kind of quiz or questionnaire that you put together, which I think is brilliant, by the way. I would love to take it myself. But you take that early. Do you ever revisit it? Do you in 6 months, do you take a look again, or a year? Because I think of companies like BMW that it's the ultimate driving machine, and it's been that way since I was a kid. So, it feels like they didn't shift. And yet you'll see companies, the one that comes to mind is Quest Diagnostics. They did a complete rebrand 10, 15 years ago. So how often do you revisit this? I'm thinking of small business owners who are like, should I look at this now? And how often should I look at it?
There's a couple things that you can look at, and it also gets down to the roles that some elements in the brand DNA carry.
Okay.
Taglines for a brand should be multi-year, multi-decade. It's your stake in the ground. Think of Nike, just do it, or Apple, think different. It may have started from a campaign, but if it's something that really has strength, then it should become a long-term part of your brand so that people really associate it with you. Now, different campaigns to keep the brand fresh may play with second-tier messaging that build off of that tagline.
Oh, but the tagline stays the same, just the second-tier messaging changes? Got it.
Campaigns keep your brand fresh, and they're the things that you experiment with. And what's beautiful in today's digital world is you can field multiple campaigns and test some different ones out to see which ones do get better traction, but they should all be bringing the same brand to life, which is based off of that brand targeting that you do. Now, you asked, when should you re-examine it? I think one is just after a period of time, even if it's going well, 18 months maximum, I would say, even if you don't have any sort of big crises in your business, but just check to see how things are doing. Or, again, as I said, if you're losing business to your competition, if you're starting to see longer sales cycles, if you're feeling invisible or sounding the same as your competition, one of the challenges of success or reaching that sort of apex brand status within your category is everyone's gunning for you now. And a lot of people are going to say the same things as you.
Yeah.
Now, a good tagline, you can turn that into a service mark and you can trademark that to prevent other people from saying it. But all the rest of the language that you use could be co-opted by your competition or people who, even if you're the top performing product, but people try to draft you with a cheap product and say the same things as you. That's the cognitive dissonance that competition creates.
Right.
And even if you get ahead, even if you're successful, competition comes in. So you may get a window of time that you might have a clear message to the marketplace, but over time, it always gets clouded as your competition catches up. So you have to keep tabs on that. And maybe you only get 6 months. It's different for different markets.
Yeah.
Your sort of leadership cycle that you get in. And so keeping tabs on that and doing this targeting assessment can help you identify a problem that may be there so that you can start to address it before it turns into a crisis for your business.
Got it. So all that being said, how would we know when to cut bait on something? Like, I'll give you a great example. I have a Jeep. I am a huge fan of the Jeep name and product and everything else. And they started a campaign a couple of months back called Don't Call It a Comeback. And I said to my wife, this may be the dumbest campaign I've ever heard. Neurolinguistically, psychologically, it all pointed to the fact that you're saying we fell off a cliff, and I just thought it was terrible. And now I see there's no Jeep campaigns like that anymore. I haven't seen that campaign in probably a month. So I'm thinking either A, I'm not watching the right channels, or B, they dropped it. So when do you look at something that you tried, and how do you draw the marker between it hasn't been out there long enough and it's been out there long enough and it just sucks? You need to rethink it.
Yep. Some of that is just good old campaign measuring, but also the better you know your customers, the more that you can create I won't say focus group, but group of supportive perspectives that you can try new things. Because as a marketer, as a brand leader, you have to be pushing the limits or the boundaries of where the market is. The leader in a category is the one that drives the conversation.
Okay.
So if you're not trying to push things, leading edge, not bleeding edge, maybe, but you need that feedback, because all too often businesses just, you find yourself in a vacuum just through, I think, natural human nature.
Right.
So you want to try to break out of that. Look at the Jaguar campaign and how far that got. Like I said, these rebrands that are just, it was so far off the mark that it just made you realize that either they didn't know who their customer was, or they told people they don't care.
Yeah.
So additionally, the stronger a brand is, the less the company actually owns it. It's owned by the brand
that
loyal
makes
customers.
sense. That
And
makes
you
a lot
need
of
their permission. But also, they expect you to evolve it and keep it fresh.
Yeah, that
So,
makes sense as well.
yeah. So you have that burden, but knowing a loyal customer group, they would actually be delighted if you shared some new thinking with them.
Yeah.
And what's great, again, about this digital world, creating online communities, having your customers participate in the brand itself, all of a sudden you got a lot more salespeople without actually having to pay them beyond delivering them a great product that they love and respect.
Yeah. So, Cory, there's going to be about 5 million new businesses that start this year. By the end of the year, 40% are going to close their doors. By the end of 5 years, 90% are going to close their doors.
Yep.
I can't help but think that marketing is a huge piece of that, along with sales, getting your name out. But a lot of people can't afford to invest heavily. They can't afford to hire an agency or maybe hire somebody that's really high ticket. What's some advice you can give to people that they can't hire a marketing department, but they do need a brand and they do need help? What's some advice you can give to people that they can walk away with?
I think some advice is, one, look at this brand targeting self-assessment to help them gain a perspective on what their brand could be. But I'm so excited about a lot of the new AI assistive products that are coming out that don't require a small business owner or entrepreneur to all of a sudden learn marketing. They can build in the right models to help the owner along the journey in order to be able to make the right decisions. Marketing itself hasn't changed just because AI came along. Okay.
Yep.
For marketing, the definition of marketing is identifying something that people value, developing something that delivers that value, and then delivering that value to them.
Yeah.
The how is what's changing. And I think for entrepreneurs, again, there's great products. And we had mentioned earlier, Orchestrate. It helps people to be able to identify that value, but also, myself included, as a business owner, I don't feel that I have that sales gene or was born with that sales gene.
Most people feel that way.
Yeah. And I really appreciate those natural salespeople. And Jake, I would put you in that
Thank
category.
you. Appreciate that.
But a tool like Orchestrate, what I like about it is it actually helps me get better at running a business and being able to sell by teaching me the right way to say things, in a way, things I hadn't thought of before. And those are the things that are really going to help, I think, the smaller business. The democratization of knowledge is at its peak, unlike any time that we've had before. I guess ever since the publishing of books,
You're right.
basically.
Yep.
And being focused on the basics, understanding the business that you want to create, knowing your customer, and finding ways, and this is really important now, finding ways to differentiate yourself. Okay, to be honest, have integrity, and really look at what the market's saying, what your customers are saying, but also really importantly, what your competition is saying. And what we're starting to see now with every company using AI, a lot of people are starting to sound the same because
As they are.
an AI like ChatGPT will give everyone the same answer. Okay.
Yeah.
I sell X. My customers, they might give them demographics. Tell me the best messages for selling to these people. Based on that prompt, which has nothing about the positioning for your brand, the promise type you want to have, the role that you're going to have, all of those deeper level nuances that are in this brand targeting matrix, unless you feed those things into something that can help you with messaging, you're just going to get the most boring, predictive, same as everyone else messaging.
Yeah.
And you and I see it now.
Yeah.
But also, it's not just messaging and scripting. Now you're seeing ad campaigns with the same type of AI photography,
Yeah.
the same type of AI footage. And there's amazing new tools that are coming out. There's one called Pomeli with Google Gemini that you give it your URL, it reads your website, it determines your brand DNA from that website, and then gives you campaign ideas. And so it's like,
Interesting.
yeah, and it's amazing because it feels automatic. But the problem is that it runs it through something. The campaigns at the end just all feel like, nah,
Yeah.
there's nothing really that stands out.
Yeah.
And so in this age of AI, to avoid sounding like everyone else, or at least your competitive set, really using that sort of human spark of inspiration, of innovation to build in what I call dominant differentiation so that you can stand out from everyone else. You are saying things and sounding and looking like something that is a bit unique against everyone else so that people stop and notice you. And then that differentiation clears a space for you to be able to deliver your message then. It stops the scrolling and it allows people to take at least that half second to listen
Yeah.
or read what you have to say. Now you have to say the right thing, obviously.
So we are coming to the end, but I can't help but want to extend this because I have a couple of other questions. So many people I talk to, Cory, get fearful of gaining business. And so in order to gain business, they spread the scope of what they do. So if you have somebody who's a salesperson and they specialize on closing, you'll see them starting to spread that out. Oh, I also specialize in opening and I specialize in prospecting. And so I'd love to hear your opinion on the specialization versus the casting a wide net when it comes to getting customers.
That's a great, not question, observation and point. I'm on that journey myself. And as I left my role at a big company, I could say, oh, I do marketing, I do branding, I do all this other stuff. Any small startup business, you don't have the ability or the cubic dollars to spend to be able to get any sort of traction with a message that wide. So what I've learned, and you've helped me with this, is there's that term, niche down. Find, even though you can do a lot of different things, find that one thing that is going to be memorable, that'll stick in people's minds. And like I said, stop the scrolling and focus in really on a specific problem that you can address. And so what I chose is, if your marketing's not working, your brand may be off target. So I want to help with that. Once I get involved with someone, I can help with a lot of other different things, but this is that tip of the spear. And so I don't care if you're going to be a barber, you open up your shop, you're in town, you've got a competitive set, there's other barbers out there. What's the one thing that you might do differently that'll capture people's attention and say, hey, I think I'm going to give these people a try. And all that gives you then is an opportunity to win them over. So get that first sale, then you have a relationship with that customer that you can start to grow and build. Because you shouldn't think just transactionally on that one sale. Once you've got a customer, you want to have a customer ideally for life. Bring them on that journey.
And I tend to agree because I think about this in terms of the medical field. If I'm a person that I have a heart issue, I don't want to go see a family practitioner.
Yep.
I want to go see a cardiologist.
Yep.
If I have cancer, I don't want to go see a nurse practitioner or a GP. Nothing against GPs or nurse practitioners, but if I've got cancer, I want an oncologist. So I would agree with you that the specialization is really a strong point. And I think we all have that zone of genius where we're super good at one thing. And that's the thing we should rest our hat on. I think one thing I learned probably too late in life, but one thing I learned at some point or another was to just stay in your freaking lane. Pick a lane, be great at it, and just stay in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing I love to ask our guests who specialize like you do is, what's a myth that you hear out there that as a marketer, you just shake your head and go, God, I wish people would let that go because it's just not true.
Oh, dear.
There's probably a lot for you. Pick one.
Yeah. I think just this whole idea of marketing as mass outreach and quantity. We've been living, think back the last 10 years for marketing. It's just been this whole story about quantity.
Yeah.
And honestly, quality has to count. I don't like the model of let's send out 2 million emails to the ether. And if we get 0.08%, then we're going to meet our numbers.
Yeah.
Because you have to water down a message that's going to appeal to so many people, again, you've really lost your differentiation. I'd rather niche down, think specifically about people that you want to reach, and then start that outreach from there. And the right message in the right inbox, once you can demonstrate that you understand them and their pains, you're going to have a much better open rate and conversion rate. And wouldn't you like to concentrate on that versus just spamming the entire universe?
Yeah, I'm amazed. And we've talked about this on the show before, but I'm constantly amazed. We hear from the time we're kids, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're making shitty first impressions at the speed of light and in the tens of thousands. Yeah. So we think about the 10 or 20% we'll appeal to, but we don't think about the 80% who say, listen, I'm never listening to Jake again, so I'm just going to block him from my inbox.
Yeah, you get tuned out.
Yep, for sure.
And it's funny because that runs counter to the personalization and intimacy that modern technology can actually provide.
Very true.
It used to be any business consultant or business person could only deal with a so many mile radius because that's how far they could travel to go to a meeting. But Jake, I'm sure you have clients all around the US, maybe internationally, that you can now have meetings like with what we're doing, continue to do business, and then maybe once in a while for meetings that matter, you could travel and meet with them. But your radius is so much larger than it ever was.
I hadn't thought about that. That's an interesting point. Yeah. Cory, if people want to reach out to you, which I'm sure they will, because if I was a small business owner and I didn't know you and I knew you had this cool tool on your website, tell us again how to get that tool, what your website is, and if people want to reach you directly, the best way to get in touch.
Thank you. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Cory Hanscom. You can see my name on here on screen.
For those of you that are listening to the audio, it's Hanscom.
Thank you. I forgot about the
no worries.
And then I'm also at brandarticulate.com, which I'll have my new website done soon, but you can reach out to me there.
Thanks for checking out Own the Room with Jake Stahl. If you've gotten value from this episode, share it with the solopreneur in your life who wants to know how to communicate to be seen, heard, and respected. Review and rate the show wherever you check out podcasts. And grab your copy of Own the Room, How to Communicate to be Seen, Heard, and Respected. We'll catch you next week on Own the Room.